come in, sir?
Yeah.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Betty. Anshu Priya.
Yes, sir.
Okay. You're a medical doctor.
Yes, sir.
Practicing or not yet started?
Sir, not yet started.
English में हिंदी में?
Sir, English.
English में. So you haven't thought of practicing yet?
Yes, sir. Right now, sir, I'm preparing for the exam.
So since 17, preparation is going on?
Sir, I completed my internship in 2018.
Okay.
So then I worked as a junior resident in AIMS Patna itself.
Okay.
So then I started preparing.
Okay. Okay. AIMS has come up well in Patna?
Yes, sir.
All basic facilities, everything
Yes,
is
sir.
there?
Basic facilities are available.
It is a certain professional standard?
Sir, it is. There are scope for improvement yet, but sir, still it is doing quite well amongst the newly set up AIMS.
How many years old is this now?
Sir, it is 7 years old.
7 years.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Is that a good move to have AIMS in different parts of the country?
Sir, I think it is a good move to have AIMS-like institutions in different parts
But
of
still,
the country.
why AIMS Delhi has such large number of patients coming from all the neighboring states of Delhi? Why is it so?
Sir, firstly, because AIMS, the Delhi has a very good brand name attached to it because of the quality of healthcare service that it has delivered. And sir, it is also old and it has a very good brand value amongst the patients.
Is it quality of healthcare?
Yes,
I'm
sir.
little concerned when you say brand.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
So it is the...
what one is looking for is people have more trust and faith in the competence of the doctors of AIMS Delhi. Would that be a
Yes, sir.
better way of putting it, or
Yes, sir.
is it a brand?
Yes, sir. It's a better way of putting it.
Everything in life cannot be a brand, because here is a question of life and death.
Yes, sir.
Now let me ask you a straight question. Suppose you get an opportunity in the service. People like me are very much concerned about, large number of people waiting outside these all India institutes and hospitals in the open without facilities and all that. What is one big change or proper change you will bring about, and how will you bring that about?
Sir, I would like to have shelters outside the hospitals so that patients and relatives of the patient could have a temporary stay there. In the meantime, sir, they can be looked up by the doctor.
Okay, let me hold you there.
Yes, sir.
There are colleagues from our services who
Yes, sir.
have become something in the All India Institute also. Doctors are there. There are some All India service officers also. Even then, this has not happened. Then how can I trust you that you will be able to do that?
Sir, I think every new person that will come into service will bring a change which has not been brought by our respected predecessors.
Okay.
So, sir, if we collaborate with NGOs and like-minded civil society organizations, such a move is possible. So, recently outside AIMS Delhi also, what I have noticed is certain NGOs are establishing shelters for the patients by their own account, sir. So, sir, that move could be undertaken.
Okay. And with that, the facilities will be provided, you think? Somebody will have to manage that after that?
Yes, sir.
Isn't
Sir,
it?
somebody and sir, NGOs are offering, civil society is offering such kind of facilities. So, sir, we can collaborate with them. And so, we can also utilize the students' union that are formed inside the colleges for this purpose. Sir, I have also experienced this, that we have a lot of interest in collaborating with certain like-minded people for certain facilities. So, sir, they could be utilized.
Would the unique health ID card make a difference in all these approaches?
Yes, sir. Unique health ID card would make a difference.
How can it make a difference?
Sir, if unique health ID card is there, first of all, for example, sir, if a doctor has to see a patient at AIMS Delhi and that patient earlier referred AIMS Patna, so the patient will not have to physically carry his health accounts and documents to AIMS Delhi. And sir, if the doctor at AIMS Delhi can just ask for the health account through that digital iCard from AIMS Patna. So in that way, we can prevent the crowd that actually happens outside our hospitals.
Do you have doctors and other technical staff available in the remote parts of Bihar, in all your health centers and centers below that?
Sir, unfortunately, the condition is not that good today.
Okay. Why is it so?
Sir, it is because of certain reasons. Sir, firstly, because there are not many incentives for doctors to go and work in the rural areas.
What do you mean by incentives?
Sir, for example, we have often seen that doctors often demand that wherever they stay, their family should be with them, they should have good educational facilities for their children. And sir, unfortunately, the rural areas of Bihar still do not provide such facilities.
But that will continue for some time, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So what is the solution?
So for that, sir, I would be pleased to say that Government of Bihar recently had an initiative in which, sir, the married spouse of a doctor could also be employed in the same government institution. So, sir, that could be one of the ways to attract doctors. Sir, apart from that, we can have certain sponsored seats, sir, which UP government also did quite a few years ago. And sir, in this way, I think we could attract doctors to the rural areas.
But don't you think all these ideas have been there for some time now?
Yes,
But
sir.
why are not they taking practical shape?
Sir, it is basically because we have not supplemented this effort with commensurate increase in the infrastructure of medical facilities in the rural areas. So doctors would want to come and serve in the rural areas provided they have good amount of medical exposure and facilities available. So for example, if we look at the rural areas of Bihar, the hospitals over there do not have that kind of infrastructure or surgical equipments, and so therefore doctor often feels that if I go to that particular area, I might not be able to do justice to the talent that I have acquired.
To what extent telemedicine can be a certain solution to all this?
Sir, telemedicine is a solution to all this, and sir, I would be, I
No,
have
no,
also,
not to the surgical part of it, right?
sir, not to the surgical part of it, but sir, health promotion and for preventive health, telemedicine can have a lot of role. And so there are many ailments in medical sciences which do not require a patient to physically visit a doctor. So sir, those ailments could be attended by telemedicine
I
practices.
think I have asked enough questions on medicine now. Another area for you.
Another area, I also thought I'll do on medicine.
Let's-
You
let's
studied
bring
in
out the-
Notre Dame
Yes, sir.
school.
Yes, sir.
Where is the most famous Notre Dame Cathedral?
So it is in Paris, France.
It was in news couple
Yes,
of
sir.
what
Yes,
happened?
sir. So there was a man-made tragedy. Fire caught the
Okay,
church,
good.
sir.
In WTO, India and South Africa introduced some bill
Yes, sir.
which was related to COVID. Do you know something about it?
Yes, sir. So India and South Africa both vouched for patent waiver for COVID vaccines and related products at the WTO.
Then what happened?
Sir, initially countries like USA, which have a big stake in pharma companies, resisted. But then, sir, USA and other countries also gave their permission for such a move. But, sir, as of today, we could not see much progress in this. And, sir,
They did not give a waiver. They suggested an alternative route.
yes, sir, they suggested for compulsory licensing, sir.
What is the problem in compulsory licensing?
Sir, the problems with compulsory licenses could be, sir, firstly, not all health laws of all nations have a provision called compulsory licensing. For example, sir, African nations do not have such a provision. Sir, second is compulsory licensing restricts the product that is manufactured mainly for the domestic purposes, and it could not be exported outside the nation. And sir, thirdly, even if compulsory licensing provision is invoked, we could not ensure the adequate supply of raw materials which would be required for the production of vaccination.
Okay, very good. Now we are more than 2 years into this COVID virus effect.
Sir.
You, as a medical doctor and as a budding or aspirational bureaucrat, look back at the last 2.5 years and draw some lessons. What will be your lessons for the future, or what did we do right, what did we do wrong, briefly?
Sir, I would like to draw the lessons on two fronts. First, as a doctor, as a healthcare professional, and second, on my personal front. Sir, as far as my professional aspect is concerned, sir, I think we need to focus on preventive and promotive health. So that is very important. We saw the importance of vaccination.
Be a little more specific,
Vaccine.
not too general, specifically,
Sir,
where we did wrong,
okay,
where
sir.
we did right.
Yes, sir. So firstly, we need to incorporate ideas into preventive healthcare. Sir, secondly, we need to have Atmanirbharta that has been envisaged by the Prime Minister in other areas like vaccine manufacturing. Sir, thirdly, we need to have the concept of One Health approach into our system.
Infrastructure, the first thing was not enough beds, not enough
Yes, sir.
oxygen. So first
Yes.
thing was infrastructure. What else?
Sir, One Health approach that needs to be incorporated
And
into
as
the
a
system.
civil servant, as a policy maker, as a disaster management officer, what lessons do we learn?
So we learned that we need, firstly, sir, more amount of epidemiologists in our nation.
Okay.
Sir,
Anything else?
Sir, secondly, we need collaboration between medical colleges and other institutions. Sir, medical colleges.
Which were the one or two very major issues starkly being shown on the television and in the media at that time?
Sir, doing well or not?
No, at that time, the like migrants.
Yes, sir.
Was that a total failure of the government, you think, or why did that happen? So many migrants moving and dying, and was that a policy failure? Or?
Sir, I would not call it a policy failure. So it was once in a lifetime event, and the government and the system was also unprepared for it. Sir, while the lockdown could have been planned, but sir, it was all done in with no prior experience. So sir, that is my
Lockdown
view
was
on that.
too sudden, do you think, or it should have been done in a little more phased manner?
Sir, the first lockdown was sudden. And sir, for that also, I suppose that if we would have given people enough time and announced a lockdown beforehand, so then that could have allowed the population to mingle and would have defeated the entire policy of ensuring distancing between the people.
Oh,
That
okay.
is why, sir.
Thank you.
Anshu,
Yes,
I've seen your father's a teacher, huh?
Yes,
He's
sir.
a headmaster in a middle
Yes, sir.
school.
Yes, sir.
So, what is the state of education in Bihar?
Sir, the government of Bihar has done a lot of initiatives in the past few years to improve the status of education. But sir, unfortunately, we have not done very well on many parameters as of now.
You don't have the government schools which have gained some, fame for doing well vis-a-vis the private schools.
Sir, once
Like you studied in a private school,
yes,
convent,
sir. Yes, sir.
but you didn't opt for the government school.
Yes, sir.
That's what's happening everywhere.
Yes, sir.
But why it's such a sad scene when we have so many government schools? In every state this is happening.
Yes, sir.
What do you feel?
Sir, firstly, it is the kind of service, education as a service that the private schools have been providing, sir. So we need good amount of good quality teachers and professionals in our government schools if we want to retain children from private schools to government schools, sir.
Is it only the teachers or it is the attitude?
So it is attitude, and sir, it is also infrastructure up to a certain extent.
Up to middle school or high school, not much infrastructure is required.
Yes, sir.
What is the infrastructure required? Tables and chair and fan, that's all.
Yes, sir. So like, for example, toilet for girl students. So what I have heard from my father, this was one major issue because of which girls were not
Even
coming.
now they don't have. In Bihar, you don't
Yes,
have.
sir.
toilets.
Sir, unfortunately,
For the girl
still we do
students.
not have toilet for girls, and parents are
Or
very
I
reluctant.
feel in Haryana, I go to the village now after retirement. I feel it's just a social craze. Like dowry is a craze. You want to give more dowry than our neighbor has given. Sort of social status. It's not related to the education or infrastructure. It's more of social status. In our village, I find it's a more of social status that if you go to send a child to a government school, it's an insult. Is that so?
Sir, I would partially agree with you. Sir, social status is of course a factor because parents often compete that my child is studying in this school, and then the parents next door also has this feeling that I should send my child to a better school. But sir, apart from that, I think sir, infrastructure, the quality of education and teacher also has a role, sir.
But your communication is pretty good.
Thank you, sir.
And Bihar, where did you pick it up from?
Sir, I think I will give this credit to my school, sir, and my college.
Which college did you study?
Sir, AIMS Patna.
AIMS Patna can provide this type of communication skills also?
Sir, yes, sir. Sir, I was the vice president of the union. So because of which I have interacted with...
What skit writing and all that, what have you done? Which themes have you?
Yes, sir. So recently I wrote a skit on the awareness of HIV positive children. Sir, I have a colleague of mine working in AIMS Delhi, and there was a program calling HIV positive children into it. So sir, he approached me and I wrote a skit about how we can improve the awareness about
You do it in
HIV
Hindi or in English?
So it is bilingual.
Which are the other languages commonly spoken in Bihar?
Sir, one is Maithili, sir, the other is Magadhi, then sir, the third is Angika, and sir, fourthly Hindi.
And Bhojpuri is Bihari language or UP?
So it is the language of Purvanchal.
Purvanchal, okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Anshu,
Yes, ma'am.
so coming to the medical side again, many people believe, and they believe it very strongly, that the study of biology and the social studies, they don't go together because you need a different aptitude for that. What is your take on this?
Ma'am, as far as the aptitude is concerned, ma'am, science is more like a binary. either 2 plus 2 is 4, or we cannot have a separate answer. But ma'am, in social studies, there are different facets to even one issue that goes. And so ma'am, as rightly pointed out by you, there is some amount of differentiation in the minds of science students. But ma'am, like I am an example, I studied medicine and then I was very interested in humanities subject as well. So ma'am, I think if interest is inculcated, it can also be learnt by science students, and ma'am, similarly science can be learnt by the social sciences students.
Okay, so that way, what do you think that your knowledge of biological sciences is going to facilitate your performance as an officer, or
Ma'am, it is going to facilitate my performance.
How?
Ma'am, firstly because I have seen that whenever a doctor becomes a civil servant, or ma'am in general also, a doctor fosters a lot of trust and confidence amongst whosoever he meets. Ma'am, that is an added advantage. And ma'am, secondly, the kind of empathy and emotional intelligence that the curriculum of medical science gives it. And ma'am, thirdly, as you asked about the curriculum itself, ma'am, when we know about the diseases, we know also about their preventive aspects. For example, ma'am, cervical cancer, I would like to quote here, is one of the dreaded cancer facing India today. But ma'am, it could be prevented at the very grassroots level. If a doctor goes and becomes a civil servant, he will be more aware about how to tackle all these things, and ma'am, that can definitely bring a change.
Okay, so you know about the stress OPD also? What is stress OPD? Have you heard about this concept?
Sorry ma'am, I have not.
Okay, fine. What is the role of ANS, autonomic nervous system, in creating stress?
Ma'am, autonomic nervous system can be divided into two parts. Ma'am, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic system. Ma'am, sympathetic system is the one which prepares us to fight against the emergencies and the disasters that we have. Ma'am, stress could be mainly owed to the sympathetic system, and ma'am, hormones like adrenaline, noradrenaline play a part. Ma'am, parasympathetic system is the energy conserving system of the body, and it will allow us to remain calm and counter the effects of sympathetic system.
So as per this description which you have given, do you think that you have some ways to control the ANS, either parasympathetic or sympathetic nervous system, so that the people can keep calm?
Yes, ma'am.
How will you use this knowledge of yours into the field?
Ma'am, first of all, I would like to quote here the rage against doctors that has been going on. Ma'am, that is basically because doctors even lose control of their parasympathetic system and allow their sympathetic system to be activated. Ma'am, if we know how we have to communicate with the relatives of the patients, ma'am, then we will be automatically triggering their parasympathetic system and allowing not their sympathetic system to aggravate.
Good.
So, ma'am, that.
My last question.
Yes, ma'am.
You have known about drug de-addiction.
Yes, ma'am.
Suppose you are given a project to control the ongoing drug addiction in a school and to prevent it further, both of the things. For both these aspects, what steps you will suggest this committee?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, first of all, if the drug addiction has been ongoing, ma'am, I would like to take following steps. Ma'am, first of all, I would be organizing, ma'am, taking the help of the student body that will be present in the school, ma'am. Ma'am, each class will have certain representatives. We can form a board of that, and ma'am, then with the help of those students, we can take into account certain students who are into this kind of drug addiction, and ma'am, we can have regular counseling sessions for them. Apart from them, ma'am, not all drug addictions will be solved simply by counseling, and we may need to consult a medical doctor for certain prescriptions. Ma'am, we can arrange with the local hospital a monthly or a fortnightly visit to see children who will require certain kind of medical care. Ma'am, and thirdly, ma'am, we will need to take their parents into confidence as well, because ma'am, their withdrawal symptoms could be severe, and the love and the affection of the parent will be a very pivotal role to counteract the menace of drug addiction that has been happening. And ma'am, as far as the prevention is concerned, ma'am, prevention would be at the level of nation, at the level of state, and then at the level of school. Ma'am, at the level of nation, we need to take into account the smuggling of illegal drugs that has been going on through the Golden Triangle and the Golden Crescent. Ma'am, and we can have treaties with our neighborhood countries so that this smuggling, cross-border smuggling.
I'm talking about at school level, in the school itself only. Focus only on that school.
Ma'am, we need to first of all find out who the drug cartels are who are actually delivering the drugs to the schools. Ma'am, that could be found out if we collaborate with the local police officers.
See just closing down all the shops of alcohol will not really stop people from drinking. So give me
Yes.
some other solution.
Ma'am, we can have sessions with the children themselves. Ma'am, as if the child himself is enlightened enough to understand what is good and bad, then ma'am, maybe we may not need to stop those agencies outside. So ma'am, moral education is one thing that could be inculcated in the students themselves. And ma'am, proper counseling, if done, then that could be a
Fine.
good step.
Fine. Counseling means strengthening your client. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. Thank you.
Okay, Anshu, I had to ask you one more question.
Sir,
So far, we have more or less focused on your core subject.
sir,
You follow the union budget?
sir, I follow.
You follow, right?
Yes.
There are 4 steps listed in that about transition to a carbon neutral economy.
Sir, I may not recall it right now.
You should make an effort also, isn't it?
Sir, I may not recall the points of the budget, but sir, I will be able
Then
to
what
tell
is
in
it which you
general.
have followed in the budget?
Sir, I followed. Sir, recently I just read the health part of it.
Health part of it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, on the health part, there are 2 schemes mentioned.
Yes, sir.
What are those 2?
So one is the agglomeration of 23 tele-mental health clinics under the overall guidance of NIMHAMS. And sir, secondly, it is about the One Health and the research approach. Pradhan Mantri Ayushman Bharat Yojana that has been mentioned in the budget, sir.
So घूम फिर करके health में ही you show your excellence.
Sir, I
You
will
have
be
to- you
reading
have-
on.
You have to little bit
Yes,
branch off into
sir.
other areas also, isn't it?
Sir, sir.
In this subject, you are very strong, no doubt about it. But you have to be a little bit more familiar with other things also.
Yes.
Today, we didn't go into other areas.
Sir.
There could be questions about the schemes which are being implemented, center-state relations,
Sir.
issues like that.
Sir, yes,
Yeah,
sir.
there are so many such things. So, if we can wait, we'll conclude this part.